Hello, Malik and Helena. Welcome. Can you hear me well? Yes, I will get started in a few minutes. Um, yeah, because there might come some other people. Can you hear me now? No, I can't hear you. Unless there is an icon for a microphone somewhere, but I don't think this is the kind of interactive uh, classroom type. Everyone, let's get started. Um, I hope you can see me now. I'll have the mic turned on um, from now and for the whole presentation. So if you don't hear me, because I won't be having the webcam on, I'll be showing you slides and everything. So if you don't hear me, please let me know. And yeah, I'm happy that you're here. This is a very exciting presentation for me. It's a very exciting webinar because, for one thing, because it's so personal. Because as a projector myself, I feel this webinar is kind of a conclusion for my own projector process of learning how to be a projector. And I would say that the what I share here is really it's it's my conclusions of my own experiment with human design. So for 7 years, I've studied human design intensively. I've experimented with every aspect, basically, of my design. Human design has basically been the only thing that really, as a philosophy, was there for me in the past 7 years. So that's how kind of where I measure everything with, you know. Um, So from having learned so much, and I am still learning every day, and that's kind of, I think, the most interesting part is that as a projector, you're always going to be learning. You're always going to be on the way to somewhere. There's never an end point where you say, okay, now I got it. Now I'm done. No, it's more of a continuing process. So this webinar is part of my continuing process. Okay, what do I have to say? What is it that I can share about my experience that's going to be of value to other people? So I'm very happy that you're here to share this experience. And I hope that you're also excited, and I hope that you're going to learn a lot, or really find that power in yourself. So I'm going to turn off the webcam. I'm going to go to some slides that I prepared. Okay. So this quote that I put here on the front page. This is the best way that I can show a PowerPoint presentation here. And actually, last minute I changed that main picture because for me, being a projector, the most important thing to learn has always been to slow down. And so this was something that occurred to me at some point. What if the thing that you think is the most wrong about you is the thing that is the most right about you? Because I've been struggling with exhaustion and, basically, if you would call it a name, I've been struggling with being a projector in a generator world my whole life. And I always have this idea that there's something wrong with me. It's always there, it's even when 99% I know it's fine, but there's always this idea of, okay, I'm not doing it right, I'm doing something wrong here. I can't get that energy that those other people have. I can't work as hard. I can't manifest as much, or whatever way we're seeing it in our life, that somehow something could possibly be lacking. Because, that's our minds are conditioning our whole life. We're teaching ourselves to be a version of ourselves. You can never be your perfect 100% true self. So we're always teaching ourselves to be a version of ourselves. And this version for a very long time has been and still is, even when you're looking at the conditioning, when you're working with it, still it's going to be a program that you're a part of. It's the energy that's in the air. It's the energy that you tap into the second that you wake up in the morning, and are tapped into basically all of the time. So this generator energy, which is always conditioning us as a projector, there's always going to be this question: why am I not a generator? Why am I not a manifestor? What is wrong with me that I can't do this or I can't do that? Why do I get so excited in the beginning, and then after a while the energy just goes away? Or, just in general, the main question is, as projector, why is my energy inconsistent? Why is it there one moment and it's not there the next? Why can't I think my energy into being? Why can't I just change? Why can't I just be different? So what I found is that this question, I don't think I'm ever going to get it out of my head. This idea, is there something wrong with me? because I'm different, and because we're all unique, of course. You know, we all have our very, very unique way of being in the world. We all are a unique puzzle piece. And so we each have a way of being, a way of functioning that is absolutely unique. That is nothing like anything that has ever been invented before. And the funny thing is that we can accept some uniqueness, some difference, you know, oh, I just need to do this and that differently, oh, but the rest I can just do the same as everyone else, as all the people around me, as the people that I admire. I will be myself. I will get rid of the conditioning in this one area of my life. But I also have to hold on to this specific thing, which um, that one thing that I feel is still wrong with me, still something that that I have to change, still something that I am fearful about, you know, still something that is coming from the belief that there is lack, the belief of not that not everything is perfect exactly as it is, that your design is perfect exactly as it is. So, you know, this idea that what if the thing that you think is the most wrong with you is the thing that is most right about you is when I started discovering how the thing that troubles me most in my life, which is my energy level, how that is actually my greatest asset, how that is not only the thing that makes me unique, that is the thing that keeps me going, that is the thing that I wake up for every morning. And the thing that is perfect for me to be in the world, regardless necessarily of um, is it right or wrong? Is it normal or is it different? Is there already a form in that I can go into, you know? Can I just be this completely unique being, or are there already other people who are also unique in themselves? So what I'm kind of talking about is this mental shift from the idea of, okay, right now there's something wrong, there's something bad, something needs to change, I need to be different. Um, and not in a big sense, not in a, oh, I can be myself. In a every single aspect of your life kind of sense. So that there's not a moment where you're thinking, okay, wait, okay, everything was perfect and right just now, but now something is wrong. You know, because I'm doing this, I'm feeling this, or it's been too long, it's gone too far. Now something is wrong. And to catch yourself in those kind of debates in your mind, you know, because it's just your mind debating a situation at that point, is that is the kind of the key to get out from under that, to get out of the game, to stop discussing whether something is right or wrong, whether something is correct or not correct. The only way to get out of that game, because it's a game that you're going to be playing forever if you keep going back and forth, the only way to get out of that game is to become the passenger awareness, to take a step back, look at what's going on in my brain, what's going on in my head, and see the game, you know, see the chess game that you're playing with yourself, you know, how the discussion is just me going back and forth. So to kind of make that switch, that's what I'm kind of going for in this today. And what I'm going to talk about, I put it in an order because that seemed uh, like a very nice way to understand, okay, what exactly are we going to be talking about? So first of all, it's just about what is a projector, how does it work, what is its type, and what makes a projector in the energy centers in the chart, etc. So I'll talk about that. And then I'm going to go into how to step into your projector power. First, what does it mean for you? And I think this is going to flow over a little bit into each other because I've prepared the charts of each individual, and I'm going to show the different authorities and the different ways of being a projector. And then after that, we'll have some questions and answers. And yeah. Okay. So first of all, who am I? So you know who is talking. My name is Eraani. Like I said, I've had 7 years of experience with human design now. I'm actually completing my analyst education with Alokanan Diaz, who was a very close friend and student of Ra. And I am a self-projected projector, which means that I project myself on the world around me all the time. I teach, I guide from myself, from who I am as an unique individual. So I'll talk more about that when we get to authorities and everything. Okay, so let's talk about projectors. What is a projector? And this is this beautiful image of these extraterrestrial beings kind of guiding the earth, sending good energy. And I really feel like that is what projectors are here to do, to kind of not be all in the game of life, of human life, or the drama of every day, but to kind of step out of it. Take a seat on the sidelines and just watch from there. And as you can see, these beings, they're super powerful. They were created to really, the artist made them really powerful. You can see that they're powerful, but at the same time, they're just standing there and looking at the situation in the middle. So, and that's kind of, the power of the projector is in the penetration of their focus, and I'll show you a little bit the projector aura. So actually, I can show you right now. This projector aura of which focuses on the other. It penetrates their being, so the second that you stand in front of someone, you're gonna know who they are. You're gonna know what they're like. All this information is exchanged directly in that beam, that projector beam, that energy beam of the aura. And that's when your power, that's an enormous power to have. The power to know, the power to understand, the power to recognize. Because, and this is, I think, something that's hard for projectors to grasp, is that not everyone is seeing and experiencing and recognizing the same things that we're experiencing and recognizing. If you understand something to be a certain way, it's most likely that a lot of others are not going to see it in the same way. Generators simply do not have the same perspective. When you have a defined sacral, it's fundamentally different from having an undefined sacral. So the moment that you're going to be talking to someone from a different type, let alone just a different design, but a different type, is you're talking to a different universe. It's like talking to someone who is just, you could point at the same color and disagree on what color it is. I mean, and we literally had a situation like that on the internet a while ago. I don't know if you were there, if you remember something like that, but there was a dress which had been photographed in a specific light, and there was a massive discussion on the internet. What color was the dress? And the people who saw it one color, could in no way understand that the people who saw another color could actually see that color. And this is kind of what I see around me all the time. People saying one thing, and they're convinced that they said that one thing, but the other person, they always get it from their perspective. They never hear or see the same thing that you're seeing or hearing. And this is such an important thing to really understand, because as a projector, you're going to go into the world and everyone around you is going to see things in a different way. And when you're in a social situation, you can expect that every single person there is not aware of the things that you're aware of. When you see two people exchanging a look or exchanging a moment, or having a specific energy, you experience that, but the generators or manifestors or whatever, they experience it in a different way. And so it is an enormous power to see, the power to recognize, to know what others cannot know, to see what others cannot see. And because this is the power of the projector, that's what we're here for. The power of a generator is the power of reproduction. The power of a manifestor is the power of manifestation. The power of a projector is the power of recognition. And really, it is not interesting to spend your life generating or manifesting, because that's not why you came here. That's not why you were born in this specific design. Because if a vacuum cleaner wanted to make coffee, it would have been produced as a coffee machine. So this idea of generating and manifesting, and really all what that is creating matter, is bringing physical energy, bringing energy into the physical. It's really what it is. It's you take nothing and you create something. And that's the manifesting generator process. So manifesting is the moment where you take nothing, zero, and you create out of zero, out of nothing, you create something. One. And the generator process takes that one, multiplies it into infinity. One makes two, it makes four, it makes 8, 16, etc. until literally infinity. And then again, infinity is again one. Oh, sorry, zero. So it's a cycle of creation, and we are a part of it, but not in the creating of physical matter. When you're a generator, you build a building, you take the bricks, you put them in a specific order. You take one brick, you make 1,000 bricks, you make a house, you make a neighborhood, you make a city. That's what a generator does. They create things that we can see, that we can touch. Projector does not create this physical energy. And, in a world where 80% of the people do have the ability, and, we've never known anything else. We've never known anything other than creating physical matter as a purpose of life, because that's what we've been doing for thousands of years up till 1781. In 1781, things changed, to put it lightly. We had the mutation where we mutated from a projector, from a mental, mind-oriented being into a mind-centered being. And that at this point, the projector started existing. The projector came into the game. And really, before that, there was no such thing as a projector as we know it now. So our whole society, our whole world is designed to, is designed for and by manifesting generators, manifestors and generators. So now here comes this projector, which is, we're here for this time of transition, this time of change, where the generators and the manifestors are also shifting into a nine-centered process. And I don't always mention reflectors. I noticed that. I find that reflectors are similar to projectors in the sense that they're also kind of outside of the situation, outside of the chopping wood and making fire every day, the normal everyday business and generation. So when I'm talking about, the regular normal world, in quotations, I'm talking mostly about generators and manifestors because, they are also the ones that decide the world that we live in. And so the point is that we as projectors are here to guide this specific process. It's a very specific process with a beginning and an end, and it's a process of a logical process that we're going through. Human design is a logical system. Everything is logical. This actually what you see in the background of this picture is actually a mathematical equation which produces a specific kind of like an endless matrix, an endless mandala of interactions. I mean, everything is logical, everything has formulas and geometry. And so, as crazy as it sounds, but especially to this chaotic period that we are in right now, there's a certain logic to it. Projectors were here for a reason. We have to take a step back, look at the world, see what's going on, and guide it. That's really all that we have to do. And that's the problem, for so far as there are problems, is that projectors, they forget. We forget why we came here. We forget that we came here just to guide, not to build, not to manifest, not to reflect. We came here to guide. And we forgot that that's a very specific agreement that we made with ourselves. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm not going to do this and this and that. I'm going to do that. And then we're born and we forget, and we have all these people around us telling us how to do things, telling us how the world works. And then we take their advice, we take their counseling, we take their guidance, and we think that we need that for us. And, just another quick abstract illustration. All that advice, whether it's actually spoken verbally or it's just an energetic urging to come with us, to be one with everyone, all this energy. It's just kind of what I want to show here. This image of, I honestly don't even know what's going on because there's so many different geometric patterns and energy lines and magnetic situations going on that I don't, and I don't even think that this is half or even a little bit of what's going on around every single human body. You know, a human body is, we only see the fleshy, bloody part of it, but there's so much more happening. There's energy going in, going out, and in specific gates, and for specific channels, and for specific centers, which again trigger processes of exchange and connection. And it's just an insane amount of energy that is going through us and around us all the time. You know, and another one is where you can really see the different fragmentations. And I guess my point here is this, and this is actually a tarot card from the Osho Zen Tarot, which I drew for a while ago, and it's still, you know, these two cards, they're still such a powerful mantra for me, or a reminder really, because it points to such a core issue for projectors, I believe. And so you can see I actually see that the cards have the Dutch keyword on it, but I'll just explain it to you. Because these two cards I drew when I was feeling tired and I didn't know what to do with myself and everything, and so I drew this first one. I drew the left one. It said exhaustion, and you see this man who is looking very poorly and sick and tired and just completely drained in this system of mechanics and all these machines that are working around him. And he's just sitting there like, ugh, I cannot take it anymore. Like, what kind of system am I in here? Like, what's going on? All these machines around me. I can't deal with it, you know? And then after that, I drew the card on the right, which is the card called Abundance. And it's such a beautiful mirror image, you know, with the men who are literally mirrored, the two circles on the top. And, you know, there's just something about the shapes that it just really matches with each other, because they are really, in one essence, the same thing. Exhaustion and abundance are the same thing. And abundance for me really shows this man literally sitting on a cloud. You know, he is in seventh heaven, he is in nirvana, and he is just chilling, you know, just hanging out with his lotus and his hippie clothes and his leaves around his head. And, you know, just looking at these two men next to each other, I realized that I can see my being a projector, my having an open sacral, my having open motors, as something that is limiting me and as something that is making life harder for me. Or I can see it as something that, first of all, I was born with, that is mine, that is a perfect piece of the puzzle. And if I get to see it that way, I can live an abundant life. I can be this man chilling out, hanging out with his lotus, no problem. I can experience the abundance of what it is like to just sit back and relax and enjoy your design. Enjoy the card that was assigned to you. And that's what I choose to do, consequently. Because, you know, human design, it says no choice. There's no choice to what design you have. There's no choice as to the conditioning that you're going to be confronted with. There's no choice of exchanging with all the energies that you're pounded with constantly. There's no choice in that. There's only a choice in perspective. There's only a choice in looking at the gifts you have received. The power of recognition is a power that comes with other disempowerment, in a sense that if you want the perspective of an open sacral, then it's inevitable that you have inconsistent energy. So either you can look at it from a matter of, okay, there's something wrong with me. I don't have energy. I'm not consistent. I can't work hard. I can't create things. I can't manifest things. It's all difficult for me. Or you can say, wow, I have the power of recognition. This is a superpower, an amazing power that people, the whole world is just needing this recognition. The whole world is needing more than anything to be seen, to be recognized, to be accepted, to be loved, to be able to be there. And that's what we are here to bring into the world. We are here to see people. We're here to recognize them in their core, in their being. You know, we put our focus on someone and we instantly feel the core of them, and we can give them recognition of that. We can give them the feeling that they are allowed to exist, that they're allowed to be unique, that they're allowed to be different, that they're allowed to be individuals, and that they're allowed to follow their inner authority. And it's all kind of, you know, we're here to remind others of using their inner authority, and others are here again to remind us of using our inner authority. It's kind of like a big self-helping planet, you know. But it's all kind of a conspiracy of inner awareness, of inner authority promoting itself through us. Because inner authority and outer authority, which is, you know, these central concepts in human design, when your outer authority is basically that which is outside of you, that which is not you. And it so happens that in human design, our minds are a part of that, or at least the mechanism of the mind makes that outer authority is heard and recognized inside of us. So what I mean is that, you know, you can see this head center, the top head center, which goes through the skull. You know, it's a crystal that penetrates the skull and connects with everything, literally everything else. It's kind of like the thread, you know, when we meditate, think about a little thread that's pulling you up from your head. That's kind of our link, our antenna. And what happens is that through this antenna, which is sticking out, kind of, if you think, yeah, in and out is of course debatable, but it's sticking out of us and tapping into a specific sphere of, and by sphere I mean realm, world, you know, I like to call it the thought sphere. Is this, I just imagine this infinite cloud of thoughts and information and ideas, and our minds have an antenna, and like a radio, we tune into it. We tune into the thought sphere. And that makes that every thought that enters your mind is not coming out of nowhere. It's not a creation of you. It is something that you're picking up in the radio frequency. So your mind is an antenna. You tune into a very specific frequency of thoughts and ideas and information that you would like to receive. And that conclusively is the information that you receive. So if you tune into a frequency of, let's say, being rejected, then everywhere around you in the world you're going to see people getting rejected, you getting rejected, you rejecting people, people rejecting other people. Rejection, you're going to see it because you're tuned into it. And this is how everything works all the time. Like you're constantly, by choosing what perspective you focus on, choosing what perspective you take to look at your life, to every day, this and that, by choosing the specific frequency, you literally just tune your antenna in that direction. And that's when I go back to these, this is exactly the same guy. It's the same guy in two different situations, and the only difference is perspective. The only difference is, do I tune into the radio frequency of exhaustion, and I will see exhaustion, feel exhaustion, live exhaustion, or I can tune into the radio frequency of abundance. I can see abundance, be abundance, feel abundance. The situation doesn't change. I'm still a projector. I still have my design. I still have my upbringing. I still have my everything. But because my perspective is different, everything is different. And from this point, you can start creating. You can start taking an active role in your life. Because exhaustion is going to happen or not. You know, the energy is going to run out. It's going to be inconsistent. That's the one thing you can rely on, is that it's going to be inconsistent and unpredictable. So, you know, whatever right now you feel like this is something that is wrong in my life, you can turn it around as extremely as I just turned around exhaustion and abundance. You can look at it from a completely different way. How is this horrible, horrible thing in my life? It's so hard and so difficult. I cannot deal with it. How is it serving you? What is it giving you? How is it making your life better, making it more beautiful? And how is it essential to your experience? How is it essential to you living your life exactly as you wish to live it? Because when you look from this perspective, the perspective of abundance, you're tuned into the frequency of abundance. And you will always receive exactly the information that is on that radio channel. You know, everybody's talking about abundance. Abundance is so many things. You know, as soon as you're tuned into that, those things are able to come to you. You're able to receive that information. You're able to have those thoughts, to have those ideas. Because that's radio frequency you're tuned into. And so this way you can, by simply changing your thoughts from the perspective of there's something wrong to the perspective of everything is perfect, everything is right, then you can, I mean, there's no going back from there. Everything will look different. Because whenever you're tired, you're going to be like, oh, yay, I get to rest. I don't have to do anything today. When you get sick, it's like, oh, yeah, I get to take a week off. Or, ooh, I get to drink a lot of soup. You know, regardless of what the situation is, there's always a way to put a positive spin on it. And the secret is that you need to do that. You need to do that, at least in your mind. And it doesn't matter if you believe it. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter what you do with it, if it changes out anything. Just, and this is about opening up to possibilities. You up to the possibility that it's actually really great. And by opening up to that possibility, it starts being possible that it is great. It means that the situation which before you were thinking is just wrong, you were just trying to figure out, how do I fix this? Now you realize, wait, it doesn't need to be fixed, because it might actually be perfect. It might actually be great. And as soon as that becomes possible, you can start to give that more power. You can start to give that more energy. Okay, so this thing that I hate, that I don't like, that I don't want, how is it actually the best thing that has ever happened to me? And then it can start to grow. Then that possibility that it's actually something good can start to grow. And in your mind, of course, but in constant exchange, because the radio frequency, it keeps on going, it keeps on exchanging. You're constantly, under the influence of all these different geometries and energy streams and that you're interacting with. So whatever you say it is, that is what it is. And because that's the message, the information that you are, as an individual, putting out into the thought stream, putting out into the world. And so when you have this perspective of abundance, that's the message that you're exchanging. Okay, back to human design a little bit. This is the mechanism that I started with in this story of inner and outer authority. Because, as I was saying, because you tap into the thought sphere, the mind, the thoughts that are out of that are happening in your mind are not necessarily created out of nothing, are not necessarily your product, your creation, your thing, yourself. It's not yourself. Because it's frequency that you're receiving, it's thoughts that you're receiving. And I wrote, I am not because I think because I am. Because thinking is a natural function of the human body. And it is something that happens automatically. It's not something that you have a choice over in that sense. The brain is made to think, so it's going to think. It's made to be an antenna to pick up information from the thought sphere, to pick up information from all the energy that it's perceiving in that moment. So that's what it's going to do. And the journey with human design and the journey of becoming true to yourself is for a lot about learning how to deal with the mind, learning how to disassociate or not take so seriously all these thoughts that are coming into your mind. Because what I mean to say by this is that the mind is the outer authority. It's information that is coming from outside of you. And because it's coming from outside of you, it's not you, it's not the inner authority, by definition, simply by definition. And so this really just means that every single thought that you have in your mind, every single idea, every single plan, every single interpretation is outer authority, something that's coming from outside of you. And it does not mean that it doesn't have a very important function, because it does. What I was just talking about with tuning into the frequency, that's an essential aspect of being human. And that's what the mind is for, and that's what it is excellent at. The problem is that our minds are a little bit confused with this big change that we're going through, these enormous emotional waves that we're being subjected to. The change that is happening so fast. I mean, if you can see between 1781 and now, how enormous things have changed. Our minds have this idea that they still have to run the show. They still have to work from this outer authority. And this is literally about stepping into our individual inner power. Because the inner authority and the outer authority, and just putting your authority in your mind, listening to your mind, taking it seriously, allowing it to run the show in any way, is giving up authority, sovereignty over your own life to something that is outside of you. Because that is coming from outside of you. Something that is not, if you think about mineral water, water, the purest water comes out of these wells, just out of nowhere in the middle of the forest or something. Which is, I think that could be compared to inner authorities. Okay, the water is coming up out of the ground. It's pure. It's sanitized. You can drink it just like that because it's so pure. And whereas outer authority, it's kind of like rain. It's kind of like it's falling out of the sky, and we're all annoyed because it makes us wet and it makes us feel uncomfortable, and it doesn't feel like how we want to feel. Whereas when we come upon this source of this well of water, we're so excited. Look at this purity. Look at this truth, and it's coming straight from Mother Earth, and it's so clean and just for us. And that's, the difference. It's so clear, and that's why we're all on this journey, looking for the inner authority, looking for the well. But it can be quite, a hike through the jungle while the rain is still coming on upon us and not actually making us feel very comfortable, not making us feel much better. But the inner authority is the well that is springing up from inside of us, which is clean and pure from our true, quote unquote, selves. Okay, yeah. So inner authority. When you understand inner authority, what it really is, as this is well, which is just a source in your body, in your physical sensations, and it's easily distinguished from the mind, because when you just if you just sit up straight right now and just take even just one deep breath, and you can feel your energy sinking down, down into the body, down to where the quote unquote wisdom is, where the source is, the attention goes down deeper into the source. And so that's really all you need to do. All the strategies of human design, wait for the invitation, wait to respond, wait over time for the emotional authority. It's all about this breath, taking a moment to take a breath, to kind of step out of this outer authority world, because that's the world that we're living in, is where everybody making decisions based on something that is outside of themselves. Okay, I'm going to go to work because I need to have money, because I have to do this and this. We are always looking for reasons for existence, reasons to do things, reasons to make decisions outside of ourselves. That's the definition of outer authority. Placing the reason for what you do is not because I want to, because I feel like it, because it's mine. It's because something outside of me is obligating me to do this. It's making me feel like I have to do this. And just sinking down away from it's not even mind chatter all the time, of course. It's programming, conditioning, which is held up by the mind. But just taking that deep breath and just, you can already clear so much of it. So then, for every type, for every being, the source is going to be different. The source is going to be unique. And for generators, it's the sacral center. The sacral center, which is always bringing up from source the energy to do, the energy to reproduce. And then a manifester, which is bringing up from source the energy of emotions, the energy of willpower, the energy of making things happen, creating out of nothing in the now. And this is over time. And then the projector is all by itself, the type in itself, it has so many channels. And this is kind of funny because everybody knows what it's like to be a projector, because most people have projector channels in them. And I mean by knows what it's like to be a projector, I mean they understand this feeling of needing to be recognized. They understand the power of recognition, because the power of recognition is hidden in all these different channels and all these different gates. And you can see in this little graph that I made here, these are actually the most recent numbers as far as I know. As you can see that the numbers when I first started with human design were 70% generators and 20% projectors, which might have been either a rough estimate or the numbers of projectors are rising. I think actually the latter is the case. Because we need so many guides right now. I mean, look at this world we're living in. We need more projectors, and we need more awake projectors who understand what they're doing and how they're going to do it. Okay, so this inner authority and outer authority as a projector, what you do, how you step into your power, is aligning this inner authority and this outer authority, or in other words, aligning your heart with your mind. And in a sense, it's just about creating this connection so that it harmonizes itself. The connection harmonizes. And because a lot of the time what happens is that our mind likes a fight, Our mind fights for itself. It doesn't just let something go. It keeps on, trying to see it from literally every perspective that it thinks is possible, which is usually very limited. But the mind sees these possibilities and thinks it has the responsibility to make a choice out of all these possibilities. The mind thinks I have to make a decision. I have to figure out what is the best plan. I have to figure out what makes most sense, what is most logical. I have to figure it out because otherwise I cannot survive. Otherwise I will not be able to be me. Otherwise, my life will not be my life. For some reason, the mind, it has this delusion that it's the one in charge of what happens with this body in this lifetime, in this design. Where in essence, it's just there to watch. It's just there to make analysis and just, give commentary like in sports, when a sports commentator telling, oh, this is going on the field and that's going on the field. And you're like, great, because I was also watching it. And now I have some extra details, some extra information in order to know what exactly is going on. So that's super informative thing that we have the mind for, to understand what's actually going on as it is going on. Kind of like your own interactive Google Glass, but it's inside your head. The problem is that it thinks that it actually has to run the show. And I love the comparison of Ra, who says the body is the vehicle. You are the passenger. You're sitting in the back. You're looking out the window. You're enjoying the view. That's all you're here to do as a passenger consciousness. And what we are constantly doing with our minds is harassing the driver, basically, which is constantly looking over the front stool and just like, but I was sure we need to go this way. I was sure we had to do this or that. And it's just disrupting the whole process because the driver can't drive properly if someone is harassing them constantly. So that's when we get off track. So the point is how to get back on track. And the thing is that this is just really, really complicated process. Our minds don't understand what's going on at all anymore. They're looking at this system of human design, which is completely logical. And at the same time, it's not. At the same time, it's asking you to trust a lot of things. It's asking you to become, the passenger, the wise watcher. And to be honest, that's actually the hardest challenge that humanity ever has. Because to ascend, to become aware, to become awake, it's the journey to enlightenment, you could say. And that's the one that you step on as soon as you go into touch with human design, because it gives you a recognition of self, which is from such a high perspective, when you can see everything as is and just accept it as it is completely. It's an enormously high frequency. And that's what human design is inviting you to do. If you take all the steps with human design, that's where you're going to go. So it becomes a very irrational situation where you are having to trust this idea of, okay, if I just accept what is exactly as it is right now, then what? Then what happens? So human design has this strategy and authority, this chart that you can read all this information, you can find out and figure out exactly how to accept what is exactly as it is. And well, the most important one is of course waiting for the invitation, which is the first strategy that Ra gave for projectors. And this was a slide that I actually had. I had slides for every single other type as well. And in the slide for manifestors, I put inform. For generators, I put respond. And then for projectors, I didn't feel like putting waiting for the invitation. Because honestly, it doesn't feel like the most important thing for me to do as a projector. Or the message that I want to give projectors, more than wait for the invitation, is just relax. Relax. Just take a breath and chill out. Because as I observe with myself and as I see so many other projectors around me doing, it's just this running after something. Whatever it is, it's just like, this projector, if you look at this image of the projector aura on the left top corner, what I saw is, this reaching out to the other. And which kind of almost implies that when a projector is alone, what really happens? What's the effect that they have? How can they be of service? How can they be themselves when they're by themselves? When their aura is naturally looking for the other. And what we do as projectors is we dangle this carrot in front of our face and say, okay, if you run hard enough, you can get that. We make an image of an idea of the kind of way we want to interact with the world, the way we want to be with the world. What would happen when I'm finally in my projector being and I get all the invitations, I get all the recognition, and which is a beautiful and great visualization. And I'm definitely saying tune into that frequency of everything you could possibly want. And that's the projection that we're constantly sending out into the world. But then what we do is that we cannot just stay at the phase of projecting. We cannot just project. We have to somehow manifest or generate. We have to manifest something. We have to generate something. We cannot possibly just trust that when we visualize, when we see, when we believe, when we know exactly what we want or how we want, the kind of life that we want for ourselves, we cannot trust. Let me put it that another way. We can trust. We are here to trust that projection will manifest itself, that it will be generated by generators, that it will be manifested by manifestors. Because where they are the ones who produce and give physical energy by manifesting, by generating, by doing what they're here to do, we and reflectors, projectors and reflectors, create non-physical energy. So this projection, it's not just an idea that you have in your mind. It's an energy that you're producing and sending out into the world. It's not physical, but it's definitely something. It exists. It's real. And the reality of that is what is received by all the others, by the people that were focusing our attention and our energy in this beam of the aura. When we're focusing on our energy, we're focusing all that we're projecting. I project that I'm this, I project that I'm that, I project that I like this, I love that. That we're projecting that all on the other person. They're the ones who are receiving it. And that's when they respond, or they feel inspired, whatever. By simply projecting, we are giving our energy to the world. And we're not here to manifest it. We're not here to generate it. It's not necessary. And I hear a lot of buts in my mind. I'm sure you might have a lot of buts with this as well. This is something that it's just really hard to grasp, in the sense that it seems almost impossible. And it seems impossible because we can't see it. You know, if you, as a generator, if you create something, you can see it. It's right there. It's physical energy. I can touch it. Manifesting, same story. But projectors, the value we give, the value we produce, it can't be seen, it can't be touched. But it's still just as worthy as that what all other types produce. So therefore I think that relax is the most important thing to realize as a projector, to have as a strategy, because I find myself constantly being, oh, I have to do something, oh, I have to do something. But the moment I take these few breaths, I meditate for a little bit, I find my core, I find my center, I realize, okay, it's okay. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit and enjoy, and everything will happen automatically. And that's the fun thing, is that it never needs to be, everything can always be effortless. You don't have to generate and manifest things that you don't want to generate or manifest. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. You don't have to do anything, period. Nothing has to be done. And I think that's a really interesting trick that our mind plays on us, is that it starts to give us this idea that it needs to be done. We need to do this, we need to do that. When we think of okay, I have to, so a few friends are coming over tomorrow, so then I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and your mind starts to make lists and to-do lists and plans, and okay, I have to go to the grocery store, and this and that. It starts to arrange a whole situation. Whereas when you just take a breath and you realize, I don't need to do any of these things. You can create reasons as to why, yes, it's necessary and possible, but there's also enough possibilities where you don't have to do any of those things. And the only determining factor, whether it needs to be done or not, is inner authority. Is you feeling excited about it or not? You feeling energized by this invitation to do some activity? Yes or no? And this taking a few breaths, relaxing, realizing there's nothing that I have to do. I'm always free to choose. I'm always free to decide for myself. Is this really what I want? Is this really what I truly desire or not? And that's really, wait for the invitation is for me all about taking that breath, taking a step back from what you think you're supposed to do, and then you create space for the world to come to you. You create the space for yourself to really recognize everything that is existing inside of you. Every thought that you're having about a situation, every feeling, every emotion, every pressure that's happening, and recognize whether it's true for you or not. And from that place of pure recognition, you can recognize what it is that you really need, what it is that you really want. And from recognizing that, that's when authority will guide you from step by step through all those things that you want and wish and desire to do. Because by tuning into the frequency of the things that you want to do, the things that you love to do, the things that you want more of in your life, by tuning into that frequency, you tune into the path that has those things on it. You tune into the possibility of a life where those things are real, where those things are there. And so then as a projector, all you have to do is wait for the invitation. Wait for the recipe to be ready and served up for you. And then in the meantime, just relax. And that's the thing with this invitation. This invitation is not an all the time, everything thing. An invitation is when there is another person involved and you will have an exchange of energy with that person. And by that I mean the invitation is necessary if you want to really look into the being that the other is. If you want to, that focus of the aura, it needs to be invited to come in, and or let me just say to really come in, because even if there's a no, the focus, it sees that, at least that, and it sees what is behind that and how that feels, the authenticity in that. But to really become into connection with someone, to really make that connection and build a bond, to really tap into the generating energy or the manifesting energy of the other person, they need to invite you. They need to open up their energy so that you can come in with your penetrating focus of energy. And that's the invitation, when someone opens their energy for you. And the bigger the situation, the bigger the invitation needs to be. When you're making new friends, they need to invite you into their life. They need to be excited to have you. They need to be calling you and saying, oh, when are you coming over? It doesn't mean that when they do not, that they are not good friends, or they're not in your life, or they're not this or that. But they need to be excited about spending time with you. And that doesn't mean that you can't initiate. It doesn't mean that you can't call them up and be like, hey, how are you? Would you like to do something? It just means that you need to be very, very aware of what happens in the other person the moment you initiate something, the moment that you make a connection, the moment that you do or don't do anything. You need to be aware of what happens, because when a generator doesn't respond, there is a no. It's a no. So if you ask someone, would you like to do something, and they're just, if they hesitate, if their body doesn't jump up with excitement, if they don't smile, it's a no. And a lot of generators are not going to be able to recognize this, because there's always this interaction with the mind and the sacral, and okay, who knows best? And even generators who are aware that they are a generator and who are listening to the response, they're still going to have this interaction with their mind. What I mean to say is, generators are not always going to say no when they actually mean no. Same with manifestors, same with most people in the world. They're not going to say no when they actually mean no, and they're not going to say yes when they actually mean yes. So you have to be able to distinguish in the other person, are you open to me or not? Are you into this or not? And that goes with work, relationships, family, friendships, projects where really you need energy to invest in it. You need to have energy that sustains you when you're alone. It needs to be a fire that keeps on burning. And the thing is, if it's not a fire like that, if it's not a big situation like that, then the invitation is not necessarily a rule. It's not necessarily needed for you to be invited to go to the grocery store, or to go to the theater, or to call your friend, to redecorate your house. You don't need to be invited to do these things. And that's why I think that inner authority is so much more important for projectors than for any other type. and more important even than the invitation, because your inner authority is going to guide you in the moments when the invitations are not there. And the thing is, there's going to be a lot of times when there's no invitation, because that's the gift of a projector life. You get to relax a lot. You get to spend a lot of time alone. You get to spend a lot of time introspective, by yourself, figuring it out. And in those times when you just don't know where's the next invitation going to come from, where's the next energy going to hit me, when am I next going to get excited about something. That's when you allow your inner authority to guide you every step of the way towards that next invitation. And really, basically, all this means is that there's this sensation inside of you which is always telling you what is the best next step. And a lot of the times, the next step is going to be relax, sit down, sit back, breathe, wait. And I will talk about all these different inner authorities in each projector and what it means and how it works. And I used charts of those who are participating in the webinar. So if you recognize your chart, I won't name names. So if you recognize your chart, then you know it's about you. So this is an emotional projector, and an emotional projector who has a lot of centers defined. So, one thing is that being a projector is a lot about openness, and in general, I guess being designed, with our genetic imperative to follow what's not ours, to be something other than who we are. Our openness is really where we live a lot of the time. And even when you started with your human design journey, the openness is always going to be the things that are most interesting to us. Because, the definition is there your whole life. And tuning into that is, of course, you know how to do that. You've been training with being you your whole life. You do that every single day. You wake up, you do things a certain way. You have a certain design. You have a certain characteristic that guides you every step. Yeah, of course, it's always there. But those things that are open, I don't know what's going on in there. And it's here one day and it's gone the next. And this openness, that's what excites us. That's what interests us. Because we don't know what's there yet. There's undiscovered territory. I mean, how would it work if I possibly did this, or if I did this? Here's infinite possibility. In this definition, there's only one possibility, and the one possibility is your truth. So here you get to try things out. You get to do it wrong in so many different ways. And this person, as a 3/6, is going to be a big fan of doing things wrong. The 3/6 profile is all about trial and error. Stumping your toe and then stumping it again and again until you learn to step over the step. And that's when you get into the 6 line phase, where you have learned from your mistakes. And you're now this role model. And that's funny because, as a promotion for this webinar, I said, I'll share the mistakes I make so you don't have to make them, which is, I'm a 1/3. A 1/3 profile is all about investigating and trial and error and experimentation. And every third line is about, doing it wrong. And third lines, we don't care if it goes wrong. We don't care if everybody has already done something 10 times, 100 times. We have to try it, because how am I otherwise going to know what it is, how it is? Because it's all about the experience. Third line is all about the experience. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into this open area of the sacral and the spleen, and we're going to try and figure out what's possible there. We're going to try and make all the mistakes that we can possibly make. And this is the irony of the human design chart. Is that you see all these colors and you get excited and, oh, wow, I have this channel and I have this channel, and that means that I'm like this and I'm like that, and it's beautiful, and okay. But the irony is that usually we end up living and deconditioning a lot in these open centers, because we can't recognize it as easily. Our personality, that's what is conscious in us, we can easily recognize. That which is undefined, which is unconscious, it's a little harder to recognize, but we are able to get to know it a little bit. But this openness, it's unknowable, it's undefinable, it's infinite. There's nothing there, there's everything there. I mean, that's endlessly more fascinating. Infinity. So that's what we do. And, seeing with your individual definition. This is individual definition. In the mind, also all the individual definitions, except here, up here, which is a collective channel. And I can only imagine that this channel is driving you crazy. I also have mind definition myself, so I know very well what it's like to have a mind that does not want to shut up, that has literally nothing better to do than just figure things out all day long. And here you're thinking for the others, you're thinking for the collective, you're literally thinking for other people. That's what this collective, the outside channels are all the collective channels that have to do with society, bigger society. And so, when you have something defined in this circuitry, this collective circuitry, the keynotes are always the same. It's all about sharing. It's all about sharing, and because this is the mind, it's sharing the mind, sharing your thoughts. But then there's this individual channel here, which is going to ask for a very specific language to say things in. It's not just going to be saying everything. So what I mean to say is that this mind and all these thoughts that are there for other people, it's going to try and focus on yourself and focus on this specifically. It's just going to put a microscope lens over everything you do and everything you feel in your body, every sensation of health and survival, every instinct or non-instinct that you get. Figuring out, how am I going to be healthy in my work? How am I going to be healthy about what I do? And so, like I said, that's the ironic thing of a chart when you look at it. Regardless of how amazing all your definition is, it's always going to be the openness that we're going to focus on as human beings. I mean, that's what we do. So with emotional authority, we have a mental, your mental, all this energy going. And the emotional authority is there to really, really, really experience. The emotional authority is the wave, and I often, it's kind of like, we're in the ocean, and since this emotional center has mutated, it's just been, the waves have just been going sky high and just extremely chaotic. And so these emotional waves, they create an enlargement of literally everything. The purpose of the emotion is to, like the wave, to make the ocean just a little bit bigger for a little while. And because you always have to go down exactly as much as you went up, there's always the balance, in the end you're always in the middle. But because there's the balance, and because there's the experience of the before and the after, the inside, the outside, the emotion um, dramatizes everything. It creates a drama, and by drama I just mean an exaggeration, to making everything emotional. Basically, that's what the emotional center does, and it makes it emotional in order so it can really, really experience what exactly is going on. I mean, you can look at a situation and just be like, okay, it is like this. It is what it is. The emotional center is like, no, it's not just what it is. It's this and this and this and this. Oh, it's not just, it's not just it went well. Oh, it went so amazing. It went so great. And it's not just, oh, it went bad. No, it was the worst thing ever. It was so horrible. I'm never going to do anything ever again. To really go into an experience and not just look at it from one perspective, but just travel through all the different points of the wave and figure out there what exactly is there. And that's what the emotional center is going to do in every single aspect of your life. It's always going to be coloring the experience. It's always going to be moving the experience in order to get more out of it, in order to find deeper awareness, in order to find deeper experience. So it's not just going to be okay with things. It needs to make it really experiential. And that's what emotional authority is going to do. It's going to need drama. It's going to need excitement. It's going to need emotions, to experience emotions. And so because it is focused on that all the time, it makes decisions based on, how does this feel? Does this feel good? Okay, I'll go deeper into it. Does this not feel good? Okay, I'll go deeper into it. It doesn't say, okay, it is what it is. It goes deeper into everything. It goes more into the experience. And so the emotional authority therefore trumps everything else. Because it's always going to come with the wave. Okay, we can experience more. Let's go, another round. Encore. It's always ready for more. And, when the emotional authority is separate, when you have a split from that, it's going to be a wave that's under the surface. So when it's under the surface, it's there and it's influencing everything all the time, but you don't see it. It's not something you consciously create. It's your creation, but it's something that's unconsciously created. That means you have nothing to say about what is created. Therefore, you have nothing to say, really. You have no choice about how you feel, about which emotions are asking to be experienced right now. And that means that if as far as tuning into your authority, being a projector who is in line with themselves, in tune with themselves, and tune into a frequency of living their life in an abundant way, then it's about riding the wave, surfing the wave. And in every moment, being aware rather than emotional. By that I mean that emotional authority, the emotional center, emotional awareness, emotional consciousness is something that is developing. It's what was initiated with the mutation in 1781. And it's been developing ever since. And now that we're coming closer to 2027, we have really amazing emotional powers. The emotional projector power is really amazing, because when you can project emotions rather than just generating them or manifesting them, there's an enormous potential for awareness. When you find this emotional pull or pressure to feel the pressure from the root, which is telling you to feel, to go deeper into the emotion, to go deeper into the mood, to go deeper into the experience, just follow it down the rabbit hole. That's what I would say. Because it's like a cave that's under the surface of your experience, but it's there and it can take you for an amazing ride. So, on an everyday basis, this is about finding the enchantment in every single aspect of your life, to finding the deeper experience in every single aspect, and to then wait it out, to then be with it for as long as it's there, to not take it seriously in the now, to be like, okay, right now this is how I'm feeling, tomorrow I'm gonna see a completely different side. It's the wave. Today you're up, tomorrow you're down. That's the exciting experience. You get to see it from both sides. You don't just get shown a coin. You're just like, okay, I put it in my pocket. And then look at the coin from the good side and from the bad side. And the emotional clarity that in the end, some point at the end of your life, you're going to experience there is so profound. I mean, it's so amazing the things that you can discover by just going with this wave. And I mean, you have the ego authority there as well. You have the willpower. You have the self, the identity, which are also defined by this channel of initiation. So you can, which is also something that's under the surface. So the willpower is going to initiate spontaneously, in the moment, shocks that are just going to shock you, that is going to make you stop for a second and be like, what just happened? That's a new initiation of a new cycle of new emotions. It's all working together. It's never working apart, it's always working together. And this willpower, it's about wanting material, what you have. And so the experience of the emotional authority is telling you to experience deeply the emotional experience of matter, of things, of money, of power. But it's all, in the end, as a projector, you're here to be more aware, more conscious, to recognize more, to see more. And so there's really no goal except the awareness, except the success, the success that Ra gives as a signature for every type. So, and for projectors, the signature is success. So that means that, you're successful, you're doing it right, quote unquote. when you're feeling successful. And this is such an abstract term, really, because success is not about, oh, I have this business and it's profitable, or I have a relationship and it's great, and then I've now settled down with my family and everything is done. I'm done. I'm good. That's not success, because and this is something that emotional authority knows all too well. This is what emotional authority is all about, which is that everything changes all the time. So success is not necessarily an accomplishment or an end goal, it's an experience. Every day feeling successful. Successful at being yourself, successful at whatever it is that you desire, and successful at finding your true desires. And success for me is this abundant guy who doesn't care about what you tell him. He knows he is successful because look at him. How can you not say he's successful? When you live your life in complete comfort and happiness and acceptance of what is, that's success. So, and of course it's not, so like I'm saying, it's not about an accomplishment. Okay, once I am truly happy and all in balance and really know who I am and really understand everything, that's when I'm successful. No, I mean, you're never going to reach that point. So that's kind of, it's a lost journey. What I would rather say is success is right now. Can you see how you are successful right now? And then you tune into this frequency, this vibration, this idea of success, and then success will show you what it looks like. You will be invited to success, because you are projecting success out into the world. If you're constantly thinking, I am successful, guess what the message is that everyone around you is going to receive? All they hear is, I'm successful. Oh, wow, she's successful. Apparently, because that's what she's projecting. So, where this emotional authority is all about taking your time to experience every wave to the fullest. And then we have Splenic authority, which is in one way the complete opposite, at the other on another way, it's not that much different. Because basically we just have one moment, and one moment is the present. And the Splenic Center looks at the present as cold and as factually as it possibly can. In the most business way that's possible. And it looks therefore at things not in a very scientific way. It doesn't really care about the experience, about how does it feel. Okay, it's just what is it, and is it safe? Is it useful? Is it healthy? That's all I need to know. Because this is, the scientific, the cold, fatherly side of, okay, we got something to do here. We need to do something. Let's move on with it. Let's just see it for what it is, and let's take it. So that's what the splenic energy does. It looks at the present moment right now, and it sees what is there. What's there now? What's there now? What's there now? Constantly, it's just looking and seeing. And then there's the root energy in you, and the person who's designed this is. And the root is, it's never an authority. And I was actually thinking about that this afternoon, and I'm not sure why. I think it has, you should read up on that. On the other hand, it kind of makes sense because the root, it's kind of like the gas pedal, you could say, or the gas pedal in, or was it? I actually don't know. The gear, the gear shift in a car, where the root is saying how fast you're gonna go. It's the tempo. Are we going to go in spurts? Are we going really fast? Or are we going for the long run? Are we going, so it's like kind of always wanting to get you moving. But at the same time, moving in the right way and the right time. So it's also about not moving. And so the root is exactly about, okay, when do we spike and when do we relax? When do we stay still? When do we move? That's kind of the energy that the root has. And it's receiving the energy. It's the bottom center. It's the center where we are connected with the earth. It receives this energy directly. And it just says yes or no. But it's not the same as the sacral in that way, because it just says yes or no, and then it just lets it go again. It's not like a continuous process, and it shouldn't be, because the fuel that the root has is adrenaline, whereas the fuel that the sacral has is life energy. And adrenaline is a completely different thing, because adrenaline is very healthy in spurts. It can help and do a lot for you when it is released for a very short time. But as soon as there is too much adrenaline in your body, a lot of things just start functioning. Oh, sorry, stop functioning properly, because the stress sensation. I mean, this having adrenaline in your body all the time, or having energy, having stressful energy. It focuses everything on that alertness of the now. It focuses all the energy on what is here right now and what do I need to do in order to handle it, in order to survive it, in order to be healthy in the now. And that's all this root and this spleen is concerned about. And, in this specific design, we only have the channel of struggle. So this whole design, if you look at the definition, what the definition is concerned with is, how am I going to fulfill my purpose? How am I going to do what I'm here to do in this world right now? What step do I have to take right now? What energy do I have to tune into right now? And that's the only question that this energy has. And that's the thing about the Splenic Center. It doesn't care about anything other than right now. So it's not going to tell you anything other than what is there right now. It simply does not understand why you need to know. And that's how it's so different from our mental awareness, our mind, where we're constantly looking for all the different answers, for all the different moments. Okay, what's true now? Okay, what's true tomorrow? What's true day after tomorrow? We desperately want to know. But our spleen just doesn't care, has no interest in that whatsoever, because it really understands very well that it doesn't matter if you feel safe right now. You could not be safe in the next moment. Everything can happen. And in that sense, the spleen is always prepared for everything. Now, if you think about a cat who is just completely sleeping all day long, and then suddenly it hears a noise and it's up. ears are up, eyes are wide, tail is flexed. It sees everything, it hears everything that it needs to know in order to survive. That's what happens. So as a projector, I would definitely compare myself to a cat because, or as a splenic projector. Because really, this instinct is just there to be activated in times when it's necessary, in times when there's actually something that needs to be done. And the rest of the time, it doesn't care. It's just going to tell you, chill out. Not right now. No, sleep, relax, be quiet. Shh. That's all it's going to do. So you can then check in as much as you want and be like, oh, instinct, spleen, body, tell me, what do I want? But when the message is just, I just want to rest right now, there's nothing to be afraid of right now, then that's the only message you're going to get. You're not going to be like, oh, okay, next week you have to do this and we're going to make a plan. And okay, because the spleen doesn't care about these things. That's all mental. And it's the same actually with the emotional center. When you ask the emotional center, what's your awareness? It's just going to give you awareness of what it feels right now. It doesn't really care about, oh, how am I going to feel tomorrow? Or how am I going to feel next week? Because really, it doesn't. It only experiences this now. And that's why it seems so desperate sometimes, because it seems like it's never going to get better. When you're in the down, there's no view of how you're going to get out. When you're up, there's also no idea, no memory, no conscious memory of, oh, remember when it was so horrible. Because the comparison it's actually done by our brain, by our mind. That's the function of the mind, to experience, to recognize the feelings, to recognize the emotion, and to recognize the instinct, to recognize what happens in our body and just inform us. This is what happened. This is what happened. I made a nice little graph where I pointed out the emotion and at a different time. And that's how we can learn. That's how we can understand and more deeply recognize what happens inside of us. But that doesn't mean that the mind suddenly has the power to make decisions based on all those different graphs that it may or may not have set up with so much energy. It's sorry about the energy, but it's a waste of energy. I mean, if the mind is going to try to make a decision, it's just going to be told no. Really, it's just going to be told no at some point or another. And that's kind of what we're experiencing a lot of the time. Feeling bad, feeling desperate, feeling like life is hard. It's just the mind being told, nope, stop it. You're trying to fix everything. This is not going to work. Turn back, go back to your inside. And, so every time something goes wrong, or you think something is going wrong, it's just your mind being told, no, you don't know. You don't understand. It's okay. Just relax. And that's actually a wonderful situation, right? I mean, isn't it great that something goes wrong so that you can see and understand how you can do it better, how you would rather do it? And so the mind is there to recognize that the instinct happens, that it's there. It's there to catalog each time the instinct was right, each time the instinct wasn't listened to. It's a great function of the mind. But in the end, the instinct knows, and that which gets you moving is the right thing. If it doesn't get you moving spontaneously in the now, right now, it's a no. It's really that simple. And that's kind of, I feel like, my vision of human design and my vision of authority can be a bit straightforward or a bit radical. because I really believe that if you want to turn your life around and, or, live completely according to your true self, if that is a desire that you have, then it's such a deep process. I mean, I've been at it for 7 years and I still am figuring out, okay, what is it exactly that I want here? What is exactly that's going on here? What is the experiment that I'm doing? Because I keep finding that, this love-hate relationship between our mind and our body, that's the whole journey, to be busy with that and to not just address that in certain areas of your life where you have things, you understand things. No, I have this definition, that I have this definition, so that means I'm like this and like that, and this is how it works. But if the mind is still playing that dominant role in your everyday life, when you're still following programming or conditioning, then there's something more to explore. Then there's something more to recognize, to investigate. And it's going to be like this our whole life. We're never going to be ready or done. So I would just like to say, keep investigating. See what happens in all those different open centers. Look up what the gates mean. The gates that you have and the gates that you don't have. And see what's there. See what it is that you're experiencing every day. When you go out and with people, when you meet people, what happens in your gates? What happens in your centers? What are all the keynotes that are associated with that? And, what are all the things that Ra has said about all these different centers and gates? Because it's also about just interesting information. And it's about your own life experiment, your own life experience. Why did you come here to experience life as who you are? So first of all, check the manual. What is it that we are here? Why did we come here? What's going on? So, yes, okay. So the Splenic Center, it knows best. And it's good. Like, when you get sick as a splenic person, you need to get in touch with the spleen and let it, or well, actually, you are in touch with your spleen. Your spleen is very clearly telling you what is going on, and you need to let it finish. Finish the message, because the instinct is always going to be very clear. At first, it's going to just whisper in your ear very clearly. No explanation, no stories, just this is safe, this is not safe. It's going to give, that's the only message. This is safe or this is not safe. This is good or this is not good. And that's the only message it really has to give. And when you don't listen, it's going to just make that message bigger. So at first, splenic authority is going to be a whisper in your ear, this tickle of instinct. But if you ignore it, it's going to become bigger and bigger. So, a whisper turns into pain, turns into a disease or injury or illness, turns into burnout, exhaustion. All these things, whenever you're feeling unhealthy, your spleen is telling you there's something off, something you need to pay attention to, something you need to reflect on. And it's going to put pressure on you. It's the root center. It gives pressure. There's no avoiding it, really. And that's all there is, really. When you only have this definition, when you only have one channel defined, then that is all there is. And all these gates that are in open centers, they're there, but this is where it happens. And these are kind of, if you know, if life is a sentence, and then the authority is the noun, then the channel is the verb, and the kind of all of this is kind of adjectives. You know, all the different gates are adjectives, so they're important. But if you're just going to focus on the very essence of your life, it's just, am I here? Sorry, is this my purpose? Am I working towards my purpose? Am I fighting for myself? Then there's something there. And, you know, that's just when you're looking with your mental awareness back on previous times when the splenic energy gave its information. Okay. So the ego authority. The ego authority is just, it's so interesting. A lot of the time it'll be a chart like this, or they can have more definition in the mind also. But it's only if the ego or the throat the G center are defined. And so when the ego center is defined, it's all about will. It's all about wanting. The ego center is the center of matter, of materialism, of things, stuff that you can touch. It's the center of the tribe. It's the center of our heart. It's our body. It's the center of our body, our heart. And it's so centering, and because, well, a lot of times this channel, this central channel, the channel of initiation, is going to be a part of the design like this. And this channel of initiation, like we were discussing it before in the emotional authority chart, it's about shock. It's about bringing something into the world that wasn't there before. And this seems kind of like a manifesting situation. And an ego projector is often going to be tempted to be a manifester, because this ego energy, and especially with these two gates there, it's just reaching out to the throat. Just let me manifest, please. But this manifesting energy in this ego is not necessarily about being manifested directly. It's not about going out there and just creating something out of nothing. As a projector with this channel and this ego authority, you're here to more take the detour, you know, come around the back and then shock someone, but from the back, because it's not going to be you. It's you are the one who initiates the energy. You want something to happen, and really that is just the heart energy that you're picking up. You're picking up something that is wanted, that is needed for the tribe, for the coherence, for the people, for the health, for whatever. It's needed, it's wanted, and you pick up on that energy and you channel it into a power saying, you have to do this. This needs to happen. This is necessary. You recognize the wanting, you recognize the need, and you pick it out of the air where no one else has the ego power to tap into it. And this ego power is saying, this is wanted, this is needed. And then it's up to the others to take that recognition of what is needed and do something with it. Because the recognition that something is needed can often be shocking enough already. I mean, it can be, it's not going to be about, there's sandwiches needed, because that's the tribal channels. We're not talking about a tribal channel here. This is a ego projected centering circuit, individual energy. So the recognition there is something that is needed is not about, oh, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to give you all the things that you want and you need. It's just going to be like, okay, I cannot sit here with this energy of denying and avoiding any longer. I'm going to recognize what's here, shock the situation, break the ice, then I can be comfortable again. So willpower is not necessarily there to manifest. We have this idea of willpower. Okay, I want something, so I have to make it happen. And that's not necessarily, it's just ego power to me is about being very clear and very unapologetic about what you want. Because the wanting is not necessarily, it's not an ego thing. I mean, we have this idea of the ego, that it's the not self, that it's something that's not true, that's too big or too small. But really, ego is just this perception of who we are in the world. Well, it's a very physical experience, very physical wanting, knowing of who you are and what your place is in the world. Where is my house? Where do I buy my clothes? Who are my friends? How long do I take, to be somewhere? Am I allowed to take in the space of a specific seat in the train? All those kind of things. Am I allowed to take in space? That's what the ego is governing. And so when you have an ego definition, you have this consistent sense of, this consistent will of need of knowing where your place is. And in a very material sense. So that's what this ego projector is going to be occupied with, is who is the other and who am I, and how do we relate to each other? Am I taking in too much space? Are you taking in too much space? Am I allowed to be like this? Am I allowed to be like that? Am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to say that? And the only really the authority to tune into here is, how does it feel to take in this space? How does it feel to be here right now in this moment? And that's the authority. That's the willpower. Because it will tell you right away. When the heart is not comfortable, the whole body is off. Everything is off. That's why we always get the ego's way. Because if the heart starts pumping, then we're kind of done. There's nothing much more that we can do. So that's why the ego has this power, okay. I'm the heart, the center of everything. If I don't get what I want, nobody gets what they want. So this is a kind of a power that you have, and that needs to be extremely pure and extremely authentic in order to function very well. Because this channel of initiation, it's completely about the individual. It's self-empowering. So it needs to be very clear and tuned. And then, which is of course going to be a difficult task when you have so much openness. All these emotional, sacral, roots, motor energies, and the splenic energy that's pulling on something to hold on to, finding a safe haven in the world, finding something where it is safe. We're always going to be distracted all the time by all this openness. So it's all about tuning into, who am I really in every single situation? Do I have what I want right now? Do I have what I want? And if you don't, go get it. You don't have to be invited to have what you want. You don't have to be invited to be successful. You can be successful all by yourself, all alone, by just tuning into that feeling. Tuning into that sense of what is it like when I have everything that I want. And then you automatically, by following your inner authority, from excitement to excitement to excitement, you follow the direction into exactly that, into exactly what you want. And so for self-projected authority, it is again a little bit different, but at the same time it's very similar, because it's about this sense of, am I at the right place at the right time right now? And the only thing that's not there is this ego that wants, that ego that has needs, that it has materialistic energies. The self-projected, the G center is all about the self-projected authority. The G center is completely abstract in the sense of, it's like kind of the non-physical form of the ego. So the ego center is about love and love, the manifestation of love in physical material form. Money, things, stuff. When we show our love with chocolates, we say that you're worth this box of chocolates to me. Or when we buy someone a house, you're worth this house to me. That the ego is the physical manifestation of love. The the G center is the non-physical manifestation of love, because we can sense love there. We can feel it. It holds it together. It is love, that's there. It's this intersection of the energies of above and below that are come together here in this G center. And it is all about unconditional love. Unconditional love for what is. And therefore it's about direction. It's about identity. What attracts you? What pushes you away? These constant trying to figure out what is exactly the balance between you and the world outside you right now. Are you in exactly the right place at the right time? And if you're not, you can always feel this G center. I mean, it's a lot. Now that I go down all the different sensations of all the authorities, the emotional center, which is all overwhelming, the sacral center, which is, extremely powerful. There's nothing you can do without the sacral center, if you have it defined, if it's your authority. And then the splenic center, which can literally kill you. It can make you sick in order to let you be aware of something. And then the ego center, which has this want, this desire, which is so real and so material and so fundamental. And then when I feel this self-projected authority, it's just light, it's just this feeling of a light inside, a kind of an intersection of energies which just has a chemical reaction, and an electromagnetic reaction. It's just constantly bringing light. And in the better the place that I am, the lighter it is, the more response to the environment my G center has. So it lights up or it doesn't. It's excited and moving and light, or it's small and not moving, just resting. It's kind of like a compass, it's like a 3D sensory compass, which is, it's really hard to explain, but I'm sure that even if you have a G center defined or not. You can tune into it. It's kind of like a weight that's rolling around. And the weight is kind of feels like a pool. A pool that is pulling me either to the right, to the left, straight, down, in all the directions. And by feeling this weight, I know physically which way to move. I started practicing this with deciding I'll go to the grocery store. I need to go to the grocery store. Okay, do I feel like going to the one that's on the right or to the one that's on the left? And I just felt. And I went with whatever it is that I felt. And so I learned and got in touch with this sensation of a compass that is pulling me in a certain direction. And so the more I practiced, the more obvious it became. And still, after 7 years of actively tuning into the center, it's still so abstract. It still feels so far away and hard to get in touch with sometimes. Because it's just when I was speaking before about the 3-6 experimentation process, the third line experimentation, I could see that this design is also someone who has 1-3 profile. That means that you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to do it wrong a lot of the time. You're going to choose the wrong direction from time to time. At least, well, might just be 9 out of 10 times even. It doesn't really matter because there is no wrong direction. There is no wrong choice. And this really goes for all authorities. Whether you follow it or not, there is no wrong. There's no mistake. Because as soon as you do it wrong, you learn. And especially for projectors, is learning every step of the way and being able to share in your way, according to your design, to project into the world the wisdom that you have. That's the only job you have to do here. That's the only thing that you came here for. To tune into your wisdom and to project it into the world. And so in that sense, there is no right or wrong, because I can tell you here about what I learned from doing it wrong so many, many times. And, if I know the third line is going to want to, here we have a lot of third lines. It's going to want to experience it for themselves. And that's really the only thing that matters. Is that you start to follow the sensation, whatever your authority is. Tune into it, meditate, relax, lean back, and make that the priority. Make listening to your authority every single moment of every single day, regardless of whether you're doing it right or wrong, but make it the authority. Make it the center of your life, the focus of your life. And then, like I was saying, that self-projected authority, the G center, is already so abstract. This mental authority, it's actually, I think it's a name that I just thought when I was writing this, because in human design it's always said no authority or outer authority. And I believe that, or my interpretation is that because there is no sensation in these body centers that is consistent, that none of these centers can be an authority. But you're still going to experience so much there. You're going to live there because it's the body. And even if it's open or defined, that's where you're going to live from. So someone who has this design with the mental authority, no definition below the throat. So whether they have the throat defined or not, it's the same situation. It's not exactly the same, but similar authority. That means that, you're still going to have the mental discernment. You're still going to have the mind figuring out what is right, what's the right thing, what's the right that, this or that, all the time. It's going to be scanning. It's going to be scanning everything all the time and evaluating the situations, figuring out in this specific design with the 2343, the channel. I just spontaneously forgot them. Yeah, anyway. This is the channel of innovative thinking, of the lightning strike insight. And so this mental processing is going to happen with focus on you, self-empowerment, or an empowerment, individual. Who am I as an individual? Who am I as a unique person? This is what this constant investigation in the mind is going to look for, this answer to the question, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What am I supposed to do with this unique body that I got for myself? And it's going to be trying to figure out this question all the time. That's what it's going to be occupied with. And that's why we cannot trust it. We cannot trust the mental awareness to be consistent in its translation of authority, in its translation of truth. Because the mind doesn't stop at this one possibility. Okay, I have one possibility, this is my truth. That's what I'm going to feel. No, it's going to experience, or it's going to tune into all the different possibilities. And somehow, there's one that's right. There's one that's true. And, the challenge of someone with mental authority, where you can find the authority, the truth, quote unquote, you can find it in your mind, in your mental wanderings, in the things that you say, the things that you explain. You're going to find it in there, but only when you have this high awareness, when you're really listening to every single word that you're saying, taking a step back and evaluating, okay, what it is that I was saying. Now, if I am not this body, if I am not me, if I am not, in this experience right now, and I take a step back from myself, what do I hear myself say? What is the color that I give the words that I pronounce? Do I talk more negatively about this and positively about that? Then there's obviously some kind of tendency towards that which is positive. And so from that, you can very finely discern what is your truth. But it's a mental awareness process. It's a process of evolving your awareness and letting so much go, letting all that what is here in the openness, letting it go and not trusting it anymore. Honestly, because it's inconsistent and it's there and it's fun to experience. The emotional energy, the sacral energy, the pressure, the ego. It's all very exciting, but it doesn't give you any truth. It's just an experience, and the truth in the end is just there. It's always like the elephant in the room. And that's gonna be, other people might hear it in your voice better than you do. I mean, they are literally outside of you, so they might have a much better, if you have authentic, true people around you, then this is a really great way to use them kind of as a soundboard, ask them for reflections of what they hear you say. And this is for self-projected authority, also a really beautiful method. But for me, it is because that is when you get into outer authority. That is when you get to speak from the mind, when other people's opinions, your own plans, your ideas, it can all get in there and it can get distorted very easily. So for a mental projector, more than anything, it's important to evolve your awareness, to develop your awareness, to take a step back from the mind game and really become clear here. Yes. Okay. I feel like I said a lot, and it is what you say it is. That's another one of those that I made, like the one that I put on the front cover. This is not just something that obviously it's not a thought that I created by myself, because there's so many people who have picked this out of the atmosphere as well. But the gravity of how true this is, it is what you say it is. Because, and for projectors especially, this is true because we are constantly projecting what it is. So that which you project, that's what you put out. That is what it is. That is what it becomes. So becoming aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of the things you're saying is so much more important than just understanding your chart or understanding that of other people. It's becoming aware from moment to moment. What am I saying? What am I thinking? What's happening in me and around me? What's going on? And that's how you take your power. Because that power of recognition, that's the superpower that we have. And so tuning into your environment and just fine-tuning your recognition power. That's when you tap into the source and to the truth. Okay. Okay. Yes, I feel like I shared what I wanted to share. And for now, I'm going to leave you with this. Because there's no questions right now. I really love it if you send me your questions or your comments or your suggestions about this, about because I cannot answer any questions right now. I'm sure that there will come questions for you, so I would really love to hear them, and I will email them and maybe even put them on my blog if it's a interesting, expensive question. And if it's really personal, just about you, I would also love to get into it and talk about more of your charts, if that's fun for you. And then this little slide I made to tell you that if you are interested in doing a full consult of your chart on different levels, so you can do personal, you can do it with a partner of yours, which is always a really interesting thing as a projector. The partners we choose, the person we choose around us. the possibility of doing something where we can really dive in deeply. And I also do coaching, which is 70 euros per session, per hour. And all of this, if you're interested, you can have a 10% discount. And so tell me about that if you're interested in that, and in your email. And yeah, I look really forward to your questions and to hearing back from you about how this webinar was for you, what you learned from it. Please do let me know. So, okay. Thank you for being here and for listening to all the things that I had to say tonight. I really enjoyed speaking, and yeah, this is one of the first times that I'm doing this, so I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, your feedback, negative and positive. I love it both. Really need to hear how this is and how I can keep this going. Do more things like this. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.